What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I got some new news for you concerning Canelo Alvarez. There's been talks, across in the boxing circles about a possible super fight between Earl the Truth Spence and Sol Canelo Alvarez. Amongst all the other fights that are already in the talks, this looks like it looks like it could happen, because if you think about it. Earl Spence is a big welterweight. He started around the 147 pound to 152 limit anyway. Guys like him and Thurman, these are bigger welterweights. They're still young enough to make the weight. Earl Spence is, he's still a guy that he's avoided, but he's still the guy that wants fights. He needs fights, you know. I think he needs that recognition. I think that's one of the reasons he's accepting the Mikey Garcia fight. I mean, it's Earl Spence. I think Earl Spence is going to take any fight that comes to him. You know what I mean? I think I don't see him running, not yet. That's still proven, because a lot of guys, they get to a certain statue, right? Or a certain level, and they start avoiding fights. So, I feel that'll be a good fight between him and Canelo. Because, they asked Oscar De La Hoya, and Oscar De La Hoya, he gave his take on it. Like, yeah, that'd be a great fight. Because you remember, De La Hoya wanted to sign Spence a long time ago. And he wanted to sign Spence because he wanted to concoct a super fight between him and Canelo anyway. So if the more people talk about the fight, the more the buzz keeps going, the more that fight can become a reality. Because you think about it, what's Canelo Alvarez really going to do after the Golovkin fight, win, lose, or draw? What is he really going to do? Me personally, I think Canelo is losing that weight, for two reasons. He's losing that weight, one, and he's going vegan and all that. He's not, and he's not eating meat. And he's doing that to prove, like, okay, or to show people, like, hey, you will never see a negative test again due to the meat. You know what I mean? So I'm going vegan to prove to everyone that it was the meat in Mexico and I shouldn't have been eating it. And that's how I came up dirty for my test, right? And for two, I think Canelo Alvarez is not going to stay at 160. I don't think his home is at 160. I think he's losing that weight. He's off whatever he was on, so he can make either a new catch weight, a new Canelo weight. He might make it at 157. You know what I mean? Because he was at 155, and he fought, 4 or 5 times. He fought 5 times there, I know. Okay? Canelo, Angulo, Kirkland, Khan. I know Smith, he fought at 154 because he fought for that WBO, and then he dropped that belt to go up to fight Chavez Jr. So, I believe he's going to make another Canelo weight. That's why he's leaned out. He might be doing it for stamina, but you know what I mean? Stamina kind of, it could improve his stamina. Maybe, those vegan diets, they vary from person to person, and especially when you change like that. You go from a stocked, beefed up, guy that got popped for glenbuterol, and you're all stocky, and then you're all lean like you're 19. So we don't know how that's going to affect him in the ring. It could make him lighter. It could make him faster, definitely. But I think he's doing that ultimately to go and either make his own weight class, because he can do that because he's a cash cow. I see it 157, because De La Hoya did it. He did it at 157. You remember Bernard Hopkins, the undisputed middleweight champion, went down to fight Oscar De La Hoya. Remember that? You guys forget about that easily. So I mean, it could happen. Though they fought that guy. De La Hoya brought Bernard down because De La Hoya was De La Hoya, though. So Canelo, I think, will do the same thing. And of course, De La Hoya knows certain fighters who not to put him with, because they know never to go down to 147. Because Canelo he was a chunky guy anyway. He's pretty stocky. But this is the smallest I remember him being in recent years. So yeah, I see them doing that, and then, Of course, Errol Spence is going to fight whoever because Errol Spence still has to prove that he is the guy. He says, "Oh, I'm the boogeyman." He hasn't fought enough people to prove he's the boogeyman. And beating Garcia, if Garcia comes up, the mighty Badger, right? If he comes up and he fights the guy, Spence, I forgot what Spence's animal name is. I heard it and I was like, that's it, but I forgot it. But hopefully somebody can help me out with that, in the comments. But he had a good name too. I forget what it was. No, the Rhino. Yeah, I think it was the Rhino. I believe it was. So if the Rhino goes up, head first, it makes sense. Because he plows in. He makes his presence known. He probes. He throws punches to the body. Yeah, it makes sense. Front-footed fighter. You know what I mean? Rhino. So if the Rhino goes up to fight Canelo after he beat Mikey Garcia, the mighty Badger, at 147, that will be an equal formation for both guys. He paid it forward. Okay, a smaller guy went up to fight me. I beat the smaller guy. So now me being the smaller guy or the slightly smaller guy, let me go up to fight at either 157 or 160. You know what I mean? Because I think it's going to be a catch weight. I don't think that Canelo is going to fight at 160. I just don't think that. I don't think he's going to take on Danny Jacobs at 160. I mean, I could be wrong, but I just don't see it as small as he is now. I think he's losing that weight for a lot of reasons, for more than one. So if he goes up there and fights him, and that fight will happen, that would be great. You know what I mean? Because the moment if Spence goes and blows, let's say that, if Spence goes and blows out the mighty Badger, Mikey Garcia, at 147, people are going to get pissed off. They're going to just basically want to push him out of that division, especially if that Canelo fight, keeps in talks, that buzz keeps brewing up. If that's the case, they're going to make him do it. That same thing that happened with Khan. Remember that pissed Khan off when Canelo knocked Khan? A lot of people got upset when Khan got knocked out by Canelo. 6 rounds. Boom! Devastating knockout. You know what I mean? Head hit the back of the canvas, man. It was bad. He fell like some hot potatoes. Just wow. He was done. He was done. I thought he was dead for a while. That's that Pac-Man knockout. That Ricky Hatton knockout. You know what I mean? Khan was KO'd. And that's Khan coming from 147 to 155. And if Errol Spence gives Mikey Garcia a knockout like that, oh man, that'll be devastating. You know what I mean? But they're gonna say, "Oh no, man, you're too big, bro. Go up there and fight Canelo at 160." Like Khan, and Virgil Hunter said, I've got in the ring with a bigger guy, and now he needs to step up. It is crazy, man. It was funny because fight him then. So yeah, I see that fight happening, and De La Hoya, he's smart. He's a smart businessman. But he protects his fighters, and that would be the perfect style for Canelo. And let me explain to you how that would be. You know what? I'm not going to explain to you how that would be. I just think that it would be a good fight because that's more fight study stuff. And I'll make another video for that to get into that. If that fight gets made, or whatever. But from all the talks now with Canelo, with Golovkin, that fight can go a totally different way. And it really depends on these guys if they win or they lose or not. Mikey Garcia and Spence is pretty much done. But Canelo, his only thing is he still has to fight Triple G next month on the 16th. So we're going to know how all that brews out at that point. We're going to know if he has that stamina and all that. But, he still has to get past Triple G. And honestly, I think Triple G is just he just wanted that payday before he retires. I don't think Golovkin will want it. And win, lose, or draw, he got the money because he lost his his IBF. He lost his IBF belt. He lost that belt. Or was it the WBO? No, it was the IBF, because the IBF will strip you faster than any other sanctioning body, and he lost it to Deverenchenko, right? So because he didn't fight Deverenchenko, and so I don't think that he's doing it. And then also, if he does win, he beats Bernard Hopkins' record. So you can't so Golovkin, he's doing that, and if he can beat that record, Golovkin will be that man that beat that man's record. So but Canelo has unfinished business with him, because the first fight was a draw and all this. So and then he fought in spurts, and the way he fought Golovkin, and I thought he just boxed him. I think he just boxed him and played it safe. He did like a De La Hoya / Trinidad like impersonation when De La Hoya fought Trinidad. He just used the ring. He boxed. You know what I mean? The only problem is he did not outland. So I think it was an epic, it was a failed attempt, right, of Canelo getting that fight, or fighting that fight, or executing his game plan um, in that bout. Because, Golovkin was still, in the last part of that, the middle parts, Golovkin really started to come on and show him, like, look, this is why I train hard. This is what I do, And what I do, he didn't, because Golovkin, we can tell who's the talented fighter between those two, but Golovkin proved whatever he can do it well. The only thing he didn't go to the body well enough, and he didn't cut off the ring well enough, but it is what it is. But after that fight, I don't see why there's any problems why Spence shouldn't go up there if that fight becomes available, because Spence is a guy that he needs these type of fights, because the guy's in his own weight class. He hasn't fought any other champion. Think about it. He hasn't fought any other guy besides Brook. He hasn't. He's only fought Brook. That's it. He hasn't even fought Brook at 154. I'd at least wanted to fight him at 154. Now he's, supposedly he can get the winner out of the Porter and Garcia. But that's not guaranteed, man. Them dudes might fight each other next year if it comes close. And if it does come close, I think Garcia will win this decision, because Garcia is good at winning decisions, just like Canelo is, right? So you don't know. That's not guaranteed. So if he can't fight those guys at 147, he's not really that tested. So if he does go up there, if he fights Mikey and beats up Mikey because he's that smaller or whatever, and they're just the styles, how the styles evolved in the ring that night, on the day, and he goes up there and gets boxed to death by Canelo Alvarez, so be it. But anyway, it does seem like a good fight, an intriguing fight. You guys tell me what you think about Mr. Spence and Mr. Alvarez getting into the ring, possibly. Please subscribe, leave your comments below. And you guys been counterpunched. Peace.